Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte says he will be a guinea pig for the controversial Russian vaccine. Manila says it will participate in clinical trials and production of the drug, with scientists meeting Russian drug developer Gamaleya. The vaccine is touted as the world's first to receive approval, but reaction has been cautious. Called Sputnik V, the vaccine has been given the okay by Russian authorities after less than 2 months of human testing. Final trials have not been completed. Germany says testing hasn't been thorough enough. The top infectious disease expert in the US has also weighed in.
We have half a dozen or more vaccines. So if we wanted to take the chance of hurting a lot of people or giving them something that doesn't work, we could start doing this, next week if we wanted to. But that's not the way it works. So I hope, but I haven't heard any evidence to make me feel that's the case. I hope that the Russians have actually definitively proven that the vaccine is safe and effective. I seriously doubt that they've done that.
Russia's health minister has dismissed the criticism. He says the allegations are baseless and driven by competition. Now, for more on this, let's speak with immunology expert Professor Danny Altman. He's at Imperial College London. Now, firstly, vaccines are being developed at record speeds around the world because of COVID-19. And even then, the scientific community is looking at Russia's claims with a lot of skepticism.
Well, I think we need skepticism for all the candidates, don't we? Because the stakes here are terribly high. They've never been higher. We have more than 160 candidates around the world, more than a half a dozen in the final phase 3 clinical trial stage. The Russian one has never reached that stage, never been tested. So who wouldn't want to do a compare and contrast and pick the best possible vaccine?
But then saying that, Professor Altman, we have countries like the Philippines lining up for clinical trials. What do you make of this? It's almost as if the Philippines is endorsing Russia's vaccine.
Well, it's certainly not my place to advise your viewers whether to be part of this trial or not. I can't see any reason why the Russian vaccine is explicitly going to be harmful. It's a modified adenovirus, which is of a type used in many trials around the world. All I would urge caution that, like I said, there are more than 160 candidates out there. This is by no means one of the most advanced technologies or advanced in this trial whatsoever. So I'd advise an open mind and caution. And I do hope that when decisions are taken, there'll be an enlightened view of picking the best possible candidates to protect the population.
And given the sheer number of vaccines currently being explored with, and the number of countries involved as well, do you fear that perhaps the development of a COVID-19 vaccine has become politicized?
I suppose I do fear it, yes. And my simple answer to you as an idealistic professor of immunology is that it can't be politicized. This isn't for the game playing of, vote catching politicians. This is for humanity and for human health and for global health. And I think we all need to pressurize our policymakers to take every possible step to take the most objective and enlightened possible choices on our behalf, and certainly not to be guided by any political opportunism.
Professor Altman, we know that there are more than 100 possible vaccines that are being developed around the world. How hopeful are you that mass vaccination programs for this coronavirus can begin soon?
I think it's a really complex question that would take a whole program, so you'd have to invite me back. And I'd simply say that I think the immunology challenge is a tractable one. I think there are many vaccines out there that look kind of plausible. I think we need to keep our bar set very, very high for our usual criteria for efficacy, protection, safety, and not lower that bar, because obviously the collateral damage from anything that was less than strongly protective and strongly safe would be simply horrendous. So let's keep our standards high. Let's wait for the data on which ones really protect. And let's use our scrutiny to really compare and contrast, line them up side by side and see which ones do the trick. And if that's evolving during next year, I'll certainly be a very happy man.
Okay, well, thank you for being the voice of reason for us this evening. Thanks, Professor Altman, there an immunology expert at Imperial College London.